The volatility that we are getting from the Iran situation is all because of this little passageway of water right here. And a lot of people think the price of oil is going to go up, inflation is going to go up, interest rates are going to go up, and the world economy is going to crash. But here's the real deal. That's unlikely to happen. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly why it's unlikely to happen and exactly how I plan to capitalize in my $1.1 million account. I show my account all the time, showing you guys the day-to-day volatility with all this stuff going on. And now, even being through all this volatility right now, my account is only down from all-time highs to right now, basically the same percent as what the NASDAQ is down, simply because I'm allocating the right way, because valuations were hot, now they're cheap, and we're going to allocate. And coming out of this dip right here, I expect to make a lot of money. So let's go through this chart right here. So as you can see, this is called the Strait of Hormuz right here. Everyone now is a big geography expert because we got to learn about the Strait of Hormuz. But here's the deal. This big country right here is going to be Iran. This is going to be Saudi Arabia, and this is going to be the UAE. Iraq is right here, Kuwait's right here. Here's the reason why all that matters. And I know you might not think this matters a lot for the stock market, but this actually matters for everything. This is why the market's going down. Countries like Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and UAE, they bring a lot of oil through the Strait of Hormuz on tankers. And that oil largely gets imported to India, largely gets imported to China, and a lot of that definitely goes to Japan, and a lot of that goes to the Singaporean area down here too. So the problem is that Saudi Arabia is not able to export as much oil because Iran apparently shut down the Strait of Hormuz, which there is still ships going through it, but there's less. So Saudi Arabia is having issues, UAE is having issues, Iraq is definitely having issues, and Iran, of course, we know that they're still going to push their oil through it. So here's what's going on. The price of oil is spiking up a lot, and it's making a lot of people nervous. And when the price of oil goes up, like I said before, inflation, recession, bad economy, at the time that the labor market's already a little bit weak right now, this really could spiral and end very bad for the stock market. But here's the deal, and here's what nobody online is talking about. I think that this is going to resolve. And I'm not saying the war in Iran is totally going to resolve. What I'm saying is that the Strait of Hormuz situation is going to resolve because there's just simply too much money on the line. And if you take a look at this chart right here, this shows you the world's largest oil producers. And you can see that the United States, we produce 22% of the world total of oil. So the USA, all the way over here across the sea, we are 100% oil independent. We do not need the Strait of Hormuz. We do not need any of the oil coming out of that area. We produce a lot of oil in Texas, a lot of oil in Alaska, and then various other places in the United States that are a little bit less than that. So we are energy independent. So we're not going to see, going to the pump, you're going to run out of gas, or there's going to be big lines at the gas station or whatever. That stuff's not going to happen in the US. But that's totally happening right now in areas over here, such as India and China and Japan and the Philippines, like I said before. And if Iran wants to, retaliate against the US and Israel by shutting down the Strait of Hormuz, they're not really hurting the US at all. We are energy independent. We do not need the oil that flows through there. Sure, there is helium that goes through, and sure, there's going to be fertilizers that go through. But at the end of the day, the stock market's not down because there is a helium shortage or a fertilizer shortage. The market's down because oil is going up. And oil is very inflationary when it's going up, and it definitely moves the needle for CPI, Consumer Price Inflation Index, to go higher. And again, when the index goes higher, the stock market is likely to fall because interest rates are going to be higher for longer. That's basically how this all fizzles out. But you know that the number 2 country that produces oil in the world is going to be Saudi Arabia. And look down here, the big bad UAE, and then Iraq. So do you really think that Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Iraq, and even Iran, they're not going to try to push their oil through the strait at all costs? Of course they're going to. And do you think that China's just going to sit here and just be like a sitting duck and say, oh yeah, guys, I hope that this war just ends because we need oil? No, there's a lot of other countries that are dragged into this. And when there's so many players at stake, so much oil that is needed through the strait, not US but other countries, both on a producer side over here and a consumer side over here, there's a lot of pressure to get this strait open back up. And Iran actually just came out with something very interesting. They're going to start to tariff or put a toll on ships that pass through the Strait of Hormuz. So think about it. When you go drive your car down a road, you pay the fee to pass through, meaning they're drafting up a plan to charge $2 million per barge that goes through, meaning they're going to start to let barges go through. That's a big silver lining right here. Whether we agree with that or not, they're planning to let barges go through. And when you really think about it, if we take a look at this red ship down here on the bottom, these are the very large crude carriers that are going through the Strait of Hormuz. They carry roughly 2 million barrels of oil. So when we have a $2 million fee and 2 million barrels of oil, it's only $1 per barrel for what the actual fee is to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. So if you have this giant ship full of many, many, many millions of dollars of oil, are you going to pay the small fee of $2 million to guarantee your passage through? I know that I personally would, and I'm sure that the Gulf states aren't happy about this. I'm sure that the US is not happy about this either. But this is a way to get ships moving through the strait. But as time goes on, I don't even think that's going to persist. I think that there's going to be heavy negotiations with the US and other countries, and even countries that go in there and force the strait open, because Saudi Arabia has a humongous stake in this. China has a huge stake in this. Iran obviously has a stake. UAE and Iraq, they all have a stake in this. Everybody wants to move oil through the Strait of Hormuz. The problem is that Iran is causing a little bit of problems right now. Of course, India, we didn't even talk about them. They import so much of their oil. They're right here, a humongous country. A lot of the oil that goes to India goes through the Strait of Hormuz. So again, guys, when the market prices this in and the market realizes that, hey, interest rates probably aren't going to go up this year. Interest rates are probably actually going to go down this year. And this whole debacle is probably going to pass. When that happens, you're going to get caught with your pants down if you're overly bearishly allocated. Like most people right now, they like to go buy puts or hedge their portfolios or sell out of stuff. This is a time to kind of lean in a little bit and be bullish. And do we know exactly when that moment's going to be, when all this just gets resolved? No, of course not. But what we got to do is focus on the key needle movers here. You want to buy good companies at good prices. That's the name of the game. So here's the NASDAQ right here on a 5-year chart. If we take a look at how much we are down from all-time highs to right now at the time of recording this video, we're now down almost 12%. 10% is a correction. We officially had a correction. 20% is going to be a technical bear market, which I do put at about a 35% chance we're actually going to fall another, we'll just say 8% to get the technical bear market. And that's good. That's healthy. That's needed. You know, this market was hot coming into this year. I've been preaching on this freaking YouTube channel to you guys. The market is hot. Valuations need to correct. And I've been being very, very careful with stock options. Yes, some of the plays in my main Charles Schwab account, I'm red on some of them. But at the end of the day, guys, you guys know I preach long duration options. I'm all the way out till 2028 on basically every single option contract that I have. And that is how I've been allocated from day one. I never do short duration options. And the people that do, you guys are getting smoked right now. So here's the deal. The NASDAQ fell 11%. And if we just go take a look at what companies are actually in the NASDAQ and the percent weight of each one, you see that you're buying quality companies at good prices for the most part here. NVIDIA, it's 13% of the index, now $165. NVIDIA is trading at historically one of the lowest valuation levels it has ever been trading at, with some of the best revenue growth and some of the best earnings per share growth. Apple, valuation is now fair. Apple has an extremely strong moat. If they want to go double the price of an iPhone, you're going to go pay it. That is a moat. That is pricing power. That's why Apple is good. Microsoft, all these stocks through this list right here, guys, the top 18 to the bottom, you can see right here. I mean, there's a bunch of them. There's 100 of them. You know, they're beat up in price, most of them. And most of the time, this is when a good time is to buy. And just checking in really, really quick on the Fear Greed Index, guys, we're at a level of 9 right now, literally a 9. When was it this low before? Once right here in November of 2025, and of course back here for Liberation Day tariffs. We all know what the market did off of this low right here. Market absolutely ripped. You can see that again that we're clearly below the 125-day moving average. There's deals down here now. And on top of that, of course, the market volatility, it's going higher. So the people like me that love to sell put options, specifically longer duration puts like 2-year portfolio secured puts, I want to sell them when the VIX is higher. And I want to sell them when the market's falling because I could get a better strike price, a better expiration date, and more premium because people are paying top dollar for it right now. You know, humans don't change. Humans are going to make the same mistakes time and time over again in this stock market. Now, what does Trump have to say about all this? You know, I read every single Truth Social post that he puts out. Trump will say one thing, Iran will say something else. It's like this big misinformation campaign that's happening right now. And a typical retail investor that's just like stressing out, not knowing what to do, looking at their portfolio 18 times a day, wondering if they're going to get a margin call or wiped out. It's like, I think you guys are focusing on the noise, but not the signal. The signal is this. The market is clearly at a fair valuation level right now, if not maybe even a little bit cheap. When you have that, that is the time to allocate. Everybody says they have a plan until they get punched in the mouth, as Mike Tyson says. What is your plan right now? Do you plan to allocate? How much are you going to allocate? What percent do you allocate to each individual company versus the actual base portfolio indices like we have, like S&P and NASDAQ? What I like to do is 40-40-20. 40% S&P, 40% NASDAQ, 20% individual companies. I'll go buy some calls. I'll go sell some portfolio secure puts. I'll take the cash flow from the portfolio secure puts, take that, and go buy more shares of what I'm selling puts on. Because again, like I say all the time, the hierarchy is you want to buy shares when you're bullish, sell puts when you're super bullish, and buy calls when you are super duper bullish. So, buying shares is obviously the easiest way to make money if you're bullish. There's no expiration date, there's no margin call, there's no nothing. You could hold on to those shares forever. Selling puts. As you guys know, I sell portfolio secured puts, not cash secured puts, because if I'm bullish enough to sell a put, I would never want to have that much cash sitting there doing nothing. So I do the portfolio secured put. I'll link a playlist at the end here that you could check out and learn more about that. So I do that. But it's not as easy to make money doing that as it simply is buying shares, because again, shares you have an infinite time horizon you could hold on to those shares for. But selling portfolio secured puts, or any puts in general that you're selling, the share price could go up and you make money, sideways you make money, down to the strike price is where you make money, then down to the strike price minus per share premium received, that's going to be where you break even. So you have a lot of options to make money with selling puts because it's an option. You have a lot of options with it. But then when you go buy a call option, you need that stock price to go up, and you need it to go up very, very fast because theta is going against you. The time factor is going against you every single day. When you're selling puts, it's helping you actually. So that's why buying calls is only when I like to swing for the home run. And sometimes I'll strike out for sure. Most of the time when I buy calls, they go good though. But you got to be patient with this stuff. You have to give yourself a long duration time horizon, like 2 years, to let your thesis play out. Because stuff like this is always going to happen. There's always going to be short-term volatility, and nobody knows exactly when it's going to come, and nobody knows where the bottom's going to be. But me, myself, right now, you guys know that a few months ago, I've had a bunch of bonds in my account. I've now sold all my bonds, allocated it all to the S&P 500, NASDAQ, individual stocks, some call options, definitely sold some puts. And now as the market falls, every couple percent more that we go down, I sell more puts. But again, my ratios are always in check. So I will never get a margin call. I will never get wiped out. And I'm going to be sleeping well at night every single night. Even if the market falls another 50% from where we're at right now, I'm going to be just fine. And the market's probably not going to fall another 50% because a 60%, peak to trough right now would be pretty crazy. Now, here's how I want to wrap up the video right here, which is the most important chart that you could probably ever look at in your life, in my opinion. It's going to be, and it just updated, by the way, it's going to be where the earnings per share is at versus the actual S&P 500 itself. Literally just updated before I recorded this video. I've been preaching on this channel right here. Going into the end of 2024, I've been posting on this channel. You could go find the videos saying that the market is hot, saying that the market is above where the earnings per share growth line's at. Market corrected on Liberation Day tariff catalyst. There's always a catalyst. There's always something that's going to bring the market down. And it usually happens to happen when valuations are high. Because when we get a bad catalyst and valuations are cheap, the market doesn't fall as much because it's already cheap to start. So how much lower can it go? So when we were coming into 2026, I was making videos 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago telling you guys the market's hot. And look what happened. The earnings per share growth line is now almost overlapping with the actual S&P 500 index. So darker line's the EPS growth line, the lighter line's the S&P 500 index itself. We're within a couple percent right here. And you notice that from bottom left to top right, the market bounces above and below it. The cycle is going to be like this forever till the end of time with the S&P, the NASDAQ, and individual stocks. They're always going to follow where the profits go at the end of the day. Market was a little bit expensive here, bad future returns. Market was cheap right here, great future returns. Market was hot up here, obviously bad future returns from there. But now that these lines are basically overlapped right now, future expected returns from here look pretty good. And the future expected returns that you should count for is somewhere around where the earnings per share growth is actually going up. Because if we're starting from a fair valuation level to start, which we're basically at that level, you could see that for Q1 of 2026, which we're about to get those earnings, the year-over-year growth rate for the S&P 500 earnings is going to be roughly 13%. So while the market's going down and EPS is going up, which is what you see right here, the market's getting double cheaper, double safer, and double more compelling. So the profits will likely continue up. And about a year from right now, which nobody knows for sure, but about a year from right now, theoretically, the market should be this much higher if earnings per share actually comes in at 13% growth year over year, because we're starting at that fair valuation level to start. But again, even if, we get that 13% earnings per share growth, but the market was up here stretched above the EPS growth line, that doesn't mean the market's going to go up 13%, because EPS is still going to be below. The market still needs to let EPS catch up. But now that EPS is basically caught up, the future returns from this point look pretty good. But also note, right here, the market actually fell below where the earnings per share growth line was at. And that is not out of the question right here. It's totally possible, but it's unlikely because earnings per share growth is so strong. The market is pricing in a lot of bearish sentiment right now with interest rates going up. Even like people are pricing in 50 basis points of hikes this year. I just don't think it's going to happen. So when a market gets to Strait of Hormuz opened up, price of oil comes down a little bit, a lot of this negativity is going to reverse out of the market. And if you're sitting on the sidelines waiting for the smoke to clear, you're probably going to be behind the eight ball because the market's probably going to move pretty fast. Not expecting a big bad V-shaped recovery like we got for Liberation Day tariffs. I think it's going to be more like a Nike swoosh. But now's the time to allocate if you have a 5+ year time horizon on any individual company that, moat, pricing power, good valuation, stuff like that. S&P and NASDAQ, I'm definitely a net buyer right now for sure. I try to spend the least amount of money in my normal everyday life and funnel as much money of that money to my E-Trade and my Vanguard brokerage account. I don't send any money to the Charles Schwab account anymore because SIPC coverage is only $500K. So that being said, that's the video. I think that this situation is going to get resolved probably in April would be my guess. Of course, there could be more downside in the market. Nobody knows, but I will continue to buy good companies at good prices and use options to magnify things when it makes sense to magnify it. If you want to learn more about how I do options and more about how I just invest in general, watch this playlist right here. It's going to help you out a lot. I'll see you guys there.